Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the Practice Log. Whoa, it is an episode of the Practice Log right now. I know, I feel like I'm really falling away from my roots, but what the heck am I doing talking to you right now? Let's make our way to the chair, shall we? Back to the old grind, the old greasy, grizzly grind. Hashtag grind set. Yeah, what are we doing? So, let's just talk a little bit. I'd like to talk to you. I'm at a little bit of like an impasse when it comes to the podcast because I find that I do a lot of talking on the podcast. I'm afraid that it might interfere with like what I'm doing here, because I don't really like repeating myself that much. So we'll see if I can find like a nice balance between that and this. I'm just like jumping right in talking about a podcast. I started a podcast, which is just like a really crappy version of the show that I do here, which I know you might be thinking like crappier than this. Whoa, that thing must stink. Before we get too far into the weeds of things, first off, we got some new pants. Let me show you these pants, y'all. Boom, what's up? Got some Sore Hands branded pants. We have them in a variety of colors, of course. We got the and these are embroidered too, so they're not like ink or anything like that. This is stitched onto the pants and they will never ever go anywhere. Embroidered loot, just a little bit of Sore Hands branded sweatpants for you, just to really tell the world, hey, I sit around in sweatpants all day and play guitar. What about it? So that's what they're for. I think they're pretty cool, actually. I'm wearing mediums right now, and that's like, a tight fit, but I tend to wear like tight clothes because that's just the kind of guy that I am. Just for reference, I'm 5'10". I'm actually 5'9", but I'm 5'10", and like 160 pounds. I actually weighed myself over the break. I weigh like 156 right now, which is lighter than I'd expect. Like, does that look like 156 to you? I don't know about that. That scale might have been messed up. So much has happened since the last one. It's been an entire break since I've seen you. It actually hasn't. I don't know if this is true. I think I maybe have taken one day off. And if that's the case, I have a problem. I really thought I was going to take like an entire week off. My life has no purpose other than this. And when I take breaks or try to take breaks from doing that, that becomes really, really apparent. And I get this weird weight on my chest that's like, oh my God, like, is there nothing else to do? So then you freak out and then end up like starting a podcast or something because you're like, well, I have to like talk. Like, I can't just not yap. I've made such a habit of yapping constantly. If I don't yap, like, am I even alive anymore? So that's what it comes to, I think. Yeah, so, pretty interesting. Yeah, what's happened since like this week? I put out a recording of the Fugue. I'm going to make a whole video where I talk about the recording process of that because it might not be what you expect. And I don't want to go into any detail right now because I'm going to save it for a video where I go really in depth into how I did it and like my thought process and my reasonings for it. But if you're interested in like figuring out how to record classical guitar and get something that sounds kind of like that recording. So, if you're interested to see how I achieved what I got there, which is like, it's not like the greatest final product ever, but it was alright, audio-wise. As far as the quality of the Fugue, I'll talk about it later. Yeah, lots of new stuff, new videos that I want to get into. I have a bunch of videos lined up that I'm going to react to. It seems that this time of year is always like a big time of growth for this channel. Like, my channel over the last week has grown like 15 to 20%, which is a lot. That's a lot of growth for like 1 week. Most of it came from that Jacob Collier video. So, what does that tell me? I gotta make more videos like that. Jeez, alright. Hope you guys like that stuff. Obviously you do. It got like a ton of clicks. And still, even with all the hate, it still had an 80% like ratio, which really isn't that bad. I've had videos with like a 50% like ratio before, so I'm actually pretty happy with that. So I think that pretty much covers everything that's new. Hope you've had a nice holiday. Me, for my practice, God, there's so much that I'm doing. Like, I'm going hard into 997. That was sort of the reason why I wanted to make like an official recording of the Fugue that I've been working on, just to sort of show what can I do under perfect conditions and also using multiple takes, and I'll talk about that. Because that, just for like full disclosure, that was not a performance, like a one-time through performance. That was a Frankenstein's monster version of the Fugue, of my most perfect ever for every measure that I'm capable of doing at this point in my life. And that is how classical music is recorded. And I know because I actually have a good bit of experience with classical music production. I had a professor who worked for Sony, and he was like their head audio engineer. And I took many classes from him, and he talked about like how he would record classical music. And also in college, I had a lot of projects where I recorded classical music. So I'm pretty familiar with that world. So it's a good skill to have when you're a lonesome classical guitarist like me with no friends. I recorded that Fugue sort of as like a statement to myself that I'm just like going to hardcore focus on 997, which let's go ahead and actually jump into that. The video that I posted that is the official performance recording, of my Fugue. And there's one comment in particular that I kind of want to talk about. I pinned a comment on that video that was something like, yeah, this is where it is now. There's a lot that I would do differently. differently. And by that I mean there's a lot that I want different about it. I don't know if I could do it differently. But Steven Demer, friend of the channel, classical guitarist. I can tell because you're wearing a suit and playing a spruce top, so I can tell you're legit. You said, great job, very high quality. Yeah, you know, it's all right. I rank that recording a 5.5 out of 10, but you wait. Next year, when I record it again, or maybe in a few years, maybe after my master's degree, it will be a 7 out of 10. And when I'm like 45 or 50, I'll have a 9.5 out of 10, I promise you. It'll be a dang good fugue. But right now, I've only been playing that fugue for like, 2 years at the most, and I've only had it memorized for like 8 months or something like that. So, you know, it doesn't need to be like the greatest thing ever yet. That piece is a monstrous piece. A showing of your advancement is how well can you play that fugue, in my opinion. And like mini fugues, but that's just one of them, right? You can pick your favorite one and it all means the same thing. But yeah, that fugue will always be in the works. So, you know, it is high quality. I appreciate that you perceive it as high quality. There is something that it's missing though. I don't know. It needs time. That's what it needs. I'm gonna do it again. That's not gonna be the last fugue that I record. And you said, why do you wish to inflict 997 upon yourself? Have you done all the other lute suites? Great question. No, I have only done 996, and I only learned like half of it, to be fair. You know the part, the Prelude Presto. I learned a bit of the Allemande. I didn't really look at anything else, honestly. The Beret, sometimes I teach the Beret, just because that's a fun one. And it's not like it is pretty difficult, but it's not like super difficult, at least compared to like the other movements. It's not an easy piece. It ain't no like Joy of Man's Desirings or anything like that. But no, I haven't learned all of them, but the Fugue to 997 is my favorite one that I've heard, because that fugue is like the greatest story ever told. That's like what I think every time I hear it, and every time I listen to it, particularly, I know that you guys aren't gonna like this, John Williams playing it. It is like how I imagine people who like Star Wars, when they like spend a day watching all the Star Wars movies in order. I feel like I just watched every Star Wars movie in order in like 5 minutes. Like, it's like so much happens every time. There's always more detail to be found. It's just something that I also want to be able to do very badly, and I mean that two ways, because it probably will be bad compared to that. And you know what, for this practice log, I'll actually play what I have of 997. The way that I approach this fugue now is so different from the last one that I did, because I even submitted the recording that I made to one of my friends who's a composer, and I respect like his interpretive ideas and stuff, and he made this comment, and I agree with him completely, that there are a lot of moments where like my bass notes will ring out and sort of muddy up like what the melody is doing. And that just happens because when I started learning this fugue, I just simply was not as advanced as a guitarist as I am now. I've learned a lot from learning and memorizing and like trying to perfect and eventually recording this fugue. The amount that I had to study to do that, it's like, I mean, you guys saw, like, it took like over a year basically of just like pretty dedicated work. And even now, when I go through that fugue, there are so many little details that I know aren't worked in, and that they will take work to actually work in. Like, for example, just little places where, like, the bass should be cut off here, but I just kind of let it go. I just forget about it and sort of let it die on its own, and stuff like that. And now, looking at this new fugue, I have such a clear idea of, like, if it's a quarter note, its duration should be a beat. And that's it. It shouldn't be like a beat plus an eighth note when I finally hit a note that's on the same string and that cuts it off. No, something should happen where the note needs to cut off for that eighth rest until a new note rings out in its place. It's written like that for a reason. And I should be able to express details like that if I'm going to tackle a fugue or just a piece in general of this magnitude and greatness. Like, I need to be able to represent it exactly how it is on the page. That's the minimum. Then I can do all my interpretive stuff after that. But first, can I at least represent what is written on the page? Now, for 1001, the answer to that so far is like kind of, but not really. And if I am, it's sort of like by accident, because I just didn't really put that sort of attention to detail into it, just because I didn't know better. Like, I was a younger, more naive, just kind of brute forcing it sort of guitarist, just like working my way through a fugue. It's like, it was like this epic battle of just me against this giant colossus monster, and I'm just sort of attacking it from any angle I can. You know, I'm getting like hit and I'm bleeding and I don't care, like I'm just gonna conquer this thing. So my goal with this new fugue is, can I conquer this monster unscathed. Now, can I learn every little detail of it? I'm going to go really in depth. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about, and you'll hear, hopefully, anything that I do show you with this fugue is going to be like very thought out. Like, you'll see exactly like all of the muting and like how the voices, like if they're supposed to stand alone, they will stand alone. And I'm sort of just saying stuff out loud right now. It might be hard for you to like get what I'm talking about because I'm being extremely vague. I'll talk about this more in depth if you stick around. But my point is, can I express every minute little detail? Because honestly, I think that that is what my goal should be right now. Because right now, I don't have a teacher. I'm waiting for my master's degree to start. I don't know where I'm going yet, so I won't be able to answer that. And of course, like with that new teacher that I get, I want to make sure that it's someone whose ideas I really respect a lot and I want to emulate what they sound like. And should I not do them the service first of at least being able to just express the notes plainly on the page and just having a really, really clean sounding fugue, even if it's not very interesting, which I'll still do my own interpretation, of course, but I think the priority right now is just cleaning it up so I can then be molded over the next few years into something. And not that I'll stick with that forever, because I'm still an artist too, but I also want to learn from people who are really good. And I have no issue committing everything to a person who I think is really good. Still with some scrutiny, of course, but then later having more scrutiny after learning the ideas. I mean, we're always like learning stuff. I'm not just gonna like learn from this master's degree and then just like stop from there. That's something that if I can get that on my own, that would be helpful for like learning as much as possible when I do start my master's degree. Am I making sense right now? Do I sound crazy? Am I just rambling? Hopefully not. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. I guess to answer your question, why would I inflict 997 on myself? Oh, my leg is falling asleep. It's because 997 is dope. Oof. Oh, God, my leg. Ow. And in fact, pretty soon, I'm sure that I'm going to react to performances of it. I saw that David Russell has one of those church performances. I'm pretty excited about that. I will definitely be reacting to that one. We'll be there in the future. This is the practice log marking the end of winter break. Whenever the end of the year is, Rootin's Delight will no longer have a sale going on, so pick up your stuff then. Boom, guitar lessons, email in the description for that if you want some guitar lessons. Hey, it's the new year, make a resolution. I want to learn some classical guitar? I'll teach you. I want to hear how I sound? Check out that recording of the fugue that I just posted. What are you talking about? That's how I sound. Let's go ahead and get to the practicing. So, I'll see you there. Hey, here I am once again in my girlfriend's closet. It's the morning. I've been practicing for like an hour or so, and I'm not done practicing yet. I have a long morning ahead of me. But I am going to go ahead and play, because I remember I promised this. I'm going to go ahead and show you where my fugue is at, because I think I'm done working on that for today. I'll talk about it more once I play it, but first let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. So here is where BWV 997 is at. I'll play the first 20 measures or so. Okay, so, a little bit of buzz notes in there, but have been putting a lot of attention into, I don't know if I'll show like so much in depth right now. Maybe I'll just show like what I just played, and I'll just tell you what measure I'm at. So like at measure 5 where we have that A minor chord, where it's like C is up top, and then we have A, and then the 5th, and then A again. And then we have that beautiful major second dissonance right there. I'm paying really close attention to stuff like that because I want to bring out that major second, and I don't want just a whole bunch of notes like that. So I'm using muting techniques like this where I play A and then E, thumb hops over, and then when I play A again, thumb hops to the 4th string, so bum, 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 in order to keep it like There's still a little bit of sympathetic vibration there, but it's way less. And then you can really hear that major second ring out by itself. And measure 11 there. I think it's measure 11, where you have that low E. So now you're left with that E and F sharp. Same thing. There's a lot going on in that measure, because you have to do this, then do a big ol' shift up there. Yeah, at the end of measure 12, where you have that minor third up top with the E and the low E, when you switch to this chord, keep G ringing out, and then play A and C sharp, mute E, and then when you go to this chord, the B flat D F, mute A that's also ringing out, because there's an eighth rest right below that. So you don't want to have like way too muddy versus so much more clear, right? You can really hear the harmony, especially that. So I'll play those three measures. Same thing, mute, and then mute that D. Leave that G ringing out, and leave that F ringing out. All the way until there, into that E. My guitar's getting a lot out of tune now. But you get what I mean, like really paying attention to everything. Because it would be so easy to play that and not pay attention to this stuff, but all those durations are written in there for a reason. Your biggest help for like this muting is gonna be your right hand thumb, in my opinion. But yeah, what do you think of that? Pretty cool, right? Pretty good, right? I mean, so I'm gonna get back to it. I might take a little bit of a break. I still need to make coffee. I don't know what time it is. Oh wait, yeah I do. It's 9:50 right now. I came in here around like 8:30. I've been working for like an hour and 20 minutes or so. I'll probably go on until like 11 or so, maybe 10:30. I want to work on the Morel Sonatina. Ooh, mainly movement 2 and all that. So I'm going to do that off camera. You know the deal. Well, here we are in the outro. I actually don't want to show too much of her stuff. I'm just going to do that, yeah. Well, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Hey, you want some guitar lessons? I'll teach you how to hold out your note durations properly, or not hold them out, rather. We'll hold them out for how long they should be held out for. And, just generally try to get your piece, whatever you're playing, to the highest level possible, which is what I'm trying to do with this Fugue right now. I know what to do to get it to that place, and now it's just putting in the work. So, if you want some help with that, consider lessons, email in the description. Of course, head on down over to Rootin's Delight. I think there's still a sale going on. Anything else? Comment questions, feel free to leave them. I'll answer them in the chair and also in the podcast if there's a lot of them. And yeah, all right, well, I'll see you in the next one.